Well, hello there, one and you and you, me, and everybody. It's been at least 1 week, and I might still be in Prohibition land. I tried downloading a vid yesterday, and it went kaboom, nowhere. And that's been going on for 7 days. I had a strike, a strike. So I've been in YouTube jail for at least a week. I don't think these guys can count either, because the notice originated a week ago yesterday. So we'll find out if I can post today. Whoopee, who cares? The thing is that if you're one of my viewers, I haven't been ignoring you. I did make a few vids, and I might upload them later during the week. But the thing is that when YouTube says we're not censoring you, we don't believe in censorship because that would be un-American. Then they censor you. Uh, well, what am I going to do? The thing's a robot. I mean, it's not like you're dealing with a human being here. And we all know how reliable the algorithm really is. It makes no errors, after all. Remember the Gemini episode recently? That crazy AI app that Google, I mean, they marched it out to the world. This is the greatest thing ever, the newest update on the AI frontier. Except it can't draw a picture of a white person or a photograph. It doesn't really have a photograph because all those AI images are phony baloney anyhow. But anyhow, I just wanted to let you know. I went down to church today because, well, it's Sunday morning. Why not? If you feel like you'd like to watch a church service, and let's face it, you're not attending and have no intention of thereof, uh, you could tune into the church service I was just at. I think it's going to be on that YouTube thing. There's at least the sermon part, and then on Facebook, I believe you can watch the whole service if you care. I've never been a big fan of watching TV. I mean, well, actually watching TV, period, but watching church on TV and kind of calling that the same thing as going to church, I don't think so. But if that's the best you can do, if you're an invalid or maybe you're in jail, uh, tune on in. It was a good church service. Again, once the singing gets going, I enjoyed that. So I mean, we're Presbyterians. There's not going to be real lively singing. Let's not go there. But and don't forget it. There is not a tambourine in the room. So I just wanted to check in with you. I've been done exiled into nowhere land, based upon ostensibly a hit on a video from last April. Last April. And it was supposedly some violation of community standards, which goes entirely unstated and unapplied. In other words, they won't tell you what your boo-boo was. They'll just tell you you made one. Well, you know what I honestly think, to be honest with you? I think they've got an ace up their sleeve. They can draw that out anytime they want. I think maybe it had to do with somewhat more up-to-date content, but they can't figure out how to ding me on that just yet. So they just drag out the ace. Yeah, here's this violation from 10 months ago. You're off the air. That was my guess, but I'm just making stuff up. I don't want to be a paranoid about all this. It doesn't really matter that much, except I think it's actually kind of a badge here in my show, a little bit of bragging room here. Hey, I've been to YouTube jail twice, and both times ostensibly it had to do with some kind of community standards violation, which I really have no idea what they're talking about. And the thing is, if you ask me what it was I said 10 months ago that was so egregious, I have no idea. So anyway, and they won't mention it. They won't tell me what it was either. So see ya. Bye. So anyway, if this one flunks out too and goes right down the drain, well, that's all right. I wanted to pass on some medical viewing for you. There's a guy named Dr. John Campbell. He's got a real good approach, very level-headed chap, British guy, and he's doing a televised version on his own channel of another guy in England. Perhaps you've heard of him, Bridgen, Andrew Bridgen, and Bridgen's doing a presentation before his parliament, and of course they're treating him like he's a nobody. Everybody's just looking down at their tablet or their phone, or they're kind of fidgeting and not trying to look too darn guilty. And he's talking about what that treaty thing coming up in the month of May. I've mentioned it several times. This is earth-shattering news. This is international media type stuff, except totally mum on it. No, you won't hear a word about this in the major media. They don't want you to know. But anyway, Dr. John's putting it out there. And what Mr. Bridgen has to say, I think we should probably take to heart. And really, the short version is, when you look at what the provisions of this thing are, they're so broad and so wide and so vaguely defined that by the time they get a solid and a real definition, face it, it's too late. So when you think about what's coming down and everything that's changing around us, it'd be easy to be depressed. It'd be easy to, focus on this or focus on that or this election or that. And I understand people. It seems to me the last 3 elections I've heard, this is the most important election of our lifetime. And well, this time it might be true, but except I'm still not confident it's actually going to go down. I don't see how that's going to happen. And I pray safety upon the candidates, especially Mr. Trump and Mr. Kennedy, because the hoodoos and the big guys, they for sure want neither one of them in power. Trust me. So if it's America versus the somebodies, we've got the world Whiffyites, we got the socialists, we got the Marxists, we got a whole bunch of people that we could kind of align against. But in the Christian gospel, we don't make enemies of human beings. We don't say, oh, he's the bad guy over there and I'm the good guy. No, we war on powers and principalities of the air, wicked spirits that are motivating even national and international events through the usual stuff: malice, envy, lies, and extortion, and all the ideas of sexual license come in. And so we have the proud and the mighty leaders they've got such tangled up lives, and when it comes out in the wash what they've been doing at certain islands, pretty soon they want to go hide their head, even because they're not quite yet to be that frank and open and familiar with you as to let you know what they've been doing with little kids. And so this is the world we live in, and the gospel applies. The good news. What is the good news, my man? Is it that the world's going to hell in a handbasket? Is it that there's no good news? Now, the good news is Jesus reigns, and he reigns in the lives of his people. And guess what? That number's growing. There's a coming new age, and in that new age, things will make sense. Right will be right, and wrong will be wrong, and there'll be no confusion. And in the middle of all that, God shall be honored. So this is our confession that he has the victory. All right? That's settled. What we're looking at is a mop-up operation. So I've heard it described a little bit like the War of 1812. When the peace treaty was officially signed, well, the news didn't travel fast enough. I mean, the fastest thing at that time was a steamship, or, a man or a woman on horseback riding overland. That was how news traveled back then. And so the war had already ended, but it hadn't. There was still a battle or two. The Battle of New Orleans, I believe, occurred after the war ended. I think that's correct. And so when we have an operation like this, a mop-up operation that we're looking at, it looks grim, it looks dark, because these wicked powers that are roaming around don't seem like they're ready to give up anytime soon. I haven't seen any white flags on their side. And so we're the ones who have to carry the responsible answer, and the answer is there's news that applies. The new world, the kingdom from above, the kingdom of heaven, has made contact on earth, and he's begun this work of recreation from the ground up. He's already begun creation all over again, but he's begun it in the lives of his people who have heard him, have heard the word, and have trusted him, and have come to be this way by power of his spirit working in their lives. And they say so. And so the good news is, you can fuss and you can fight and you can, wriggle around if you want. Censorship, yeah, it's coming, and it's already here, but it's just going to get worse. And tyranny, yeah, it's coming, but it's just going to get worse. In other words, we're looking at a Western civilization, or what used to be one, kind of going down the toilet. I mean, this is the part where the wheels start falling off and gets kind of ugly. And so we're the agents of life and light and truth, in that we bear witness to him who is life, light, and truth in person. And so the answer isn't how smart I am, but behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. This was the testimony of John the Baptist, and I think we should all become Baptists in that sense. We're not testifying to how smart I am, or how good our church is, or how correct our political answers are. We're testifying to another who has reached into our world and has made contact with broken people like you and me. and has turned us around and made us to testify about a new thing in the world. And it smells of life and renewal, evergreen and honest. And it's all about Him. He's at the center of the new creation. We come to honor Him in person with our words and our lives. And when people are doing that, instead of talking about doing that, then people might change. But if you go listen to today's sermon, and I'm not here to criticize Mr. Combs necessarily, but what I mean is, when we hear that the correct answer is to testify to Jesus and to bear a witness of the gospel, it can very easily become a guilt trip, a way to make people feel like, well, I'll never measure up. So why start? Why try? And that I wondered sometimes, maybe that's what's killing, Protestantism. Young people are walking away in droves. And so we'll see. Our own Presbyterian denomination ain't exactly blasting off and making world record progress, I'll be honest with you. The youth, they just have forgotten how to connect with the next generation. And with all this video time and link up and screen time and virtualized world, the church is being drowned out in a lot of lives. So it's up to you and up to me to make, in this virtual video world, a statement. Turn off your video feed. So here we go again with one of my, stalwart sermons here. If you know what's good for you, you'll cut yourself off from the internet. Well, I guess that means turns this video off too. Kind of ineffective advertising. So I'm not going to ever be a big shot, and if YouTube wants to silence the creators of content, which make them their money, if they want to cut their own throat in the names of their so-called righteous and eloquent understanding of all things that could be possibly understood to be offensive, and what they're going to do is they're going to turn that offensive junk into downright illegal and then find a way to enforce it someday. You and I'll end up in places like a prison, or very much like it. So that's our future. And they rub my crystal ball. Oh, today I gave myself my haircut. Just stand in the shower with an electric razor. Done. Bye. Save a lot of money on the barber that way. It's a beautiful day out there, and I think I'm probably going to go take a walk in a little while. The wind's starting to boot up a little bit, so I'm not probably going to try to do another recording because it ends up sounding like fluffle and whatnot. And the wind breaks in on the mic all the time, and it breaks in even on this mic. How about that? So I who knows if this thing don't download? I don't know. Maybe I should send them a little Venn diagram of how to count to 7, because they said it was for 7 days. There's 7 equals 9. They flunked math. It's the wave of the future. I remember when I was a boy in the 60s, computers were just really beginning to be involved in people's lives more and more. Now, I mean, at that time, computers were probably at least as big as a freezer. Some of them took up an entire room. Or it was an array of freezers and clothes washers and refrigerators. I mean, great big boxy affairs. And there were some people who were kind of hostile to this computer thing coming in, but they used to sell it like this: well, computers don't make mistakes. Like, what? Of course they do. When people give them bad information and program them with erroneous perceptions. In other words, reality comes forth and makes a mockery of the computers every time. And it happened again recently with Genesis. This AI thing is going to be a bust and just a real pain for people, because it will never live up to its so-called hype. And yet the thing is, it's like when you go across the desert and you have that mirage in front of you and it looks like you got water up in front of you and it's just ahead down the road a little bit. Well, if you've ever been in a hot area in the summer looking down the black pavement, you can see those mirages in the road. But if you expect to get a drink out of that, you're going to come up thirsty. So this is the way the world operates. It always has a mirage. There'll be a great banquet, a great everything will be just grand if only we can get to. And of course, that's their foot one more step inside the door to tell you what you may or may not do at any given time or circumstance. And if you want to know what that really looks like in reality, go take a look at Red China. The thing's bankrupt, corrupt to the core. They can't keep people there voluntarily. They have to, like the old Iron Curtain, keep them in restrictively. People are not free to emigrate out of that place, okay? And there's reasons for that. That's what they're building around the world. Essentially a global prison camp. And but to be administered by only the highest qualified individuals, the people who nominate themselves as our political leaders. Ugh. So here's the true leader. Here's the true king. The true king is the master of all, has all authority. And how can you tell? Because he masters both low and high. He is the highest of the high. And you know what he says? Become the servant of your brother. Take the low place and acknowledge the positional altitude of the king above us all. Gladly serve your brother. Gladly serve yours. In other words, serving your brother and bearing witness to it's not some grimy, grief-stricken, guilt-ridden task. It's about reality. It's about the various flavor of life, flavors that come alive in you. Oh, by the way, I'm doing another ad. When you go down to Jack in the Box, I call it wand in the casket, but never mind that. When you go down, that they got one of those things. It's like a TV screen for soda pop. Ugh, too many choices. But anyway, one of the choices is, I hope maybe your store has one. Go in there and see if you can find, it's Seagram's ginger ale, but there's a lime version. Lime ginger ale, Seagram's. Try it. Excellent. If you like soda pop, I mean, it's a sugary drink, but it's a real nice flavor. Even better than 7-Up, if that's possible. And I just wanted to say hi to you, and if you've been looking around like, gee, Mike, where you been? How come you're not publishing anything, big guy? We're dying to hear from you, you know what I mean? That has not so far presented itself as much of a problem, but it might someday. So, I haven't forgotten about you. I've been trying to post a video here and there, and it keeps saying, no guys. So, I'll send this one in, and if they want to no dice me again, maybe I'll send them a little message like, hey, let me give you guys a reminder on how to count to 7. Because in the new world, that may not be an agreed upon procedure, how to get to 7 and agree with the same numbers. Because after all, what you think is true, right? If you happen to think you're a 74th gender, well then that must be because it's right. That's what they're doing. It's all a lie. But the truth is stronger than lies, and you know it in your heart. So remember in your heart, the Lord loves you, especially you who are sure he don't. There's a man, there's a woman, there's a boy, a girl who says, you know, no one loves me, nobody cares about me. Not really. He loves you. He's the one he's actually looking for, the offspring of the outthrown, the one who was rejected and sent away, the one who just ain't frankly good enough. That's the one he's looking for. Because you know in your heart, nothing I'll ever do will make me good enough for you, Father Almighty. That's half the equation. At least you got part of the thing right. Now, but there's another part that makes it all right in him, because he calls you now a son, he calls you a true daughter, he calls you family. He calls you, you're one of us, and the welcome is real. And you know it, and you say so. So the way we share the gospel isn't by me browbeating you into telling you, you better talk about gospel talk more or else. Like that's really going to work. Now, just tell about the glorious King and how he changed you, and how he's making you a new person and giving you a new start, when we know what we deserve. And he's so much better than that he even hides our shame and our guilt. So go there. Have that as a gospel message, and if the censors don't like it, I'm sure we'll hear about it. Why? because you won't hear a thing at all. Bye bye. Have a good day.